Welcome everyone to the 7th episode of Ability Academy. Today we'll be taking a look at the Damp, Water Absorb, Swift Swim, Water Veil, Rain Dish, Hydration, Water Bubble, Liquid Voice, Drizzle, and Primordial Sea abilities. The Damp ability is a fairly simple ability that can sometimes have drastic effects on how a battle progresses depending upon the explosive nature of nearby Pokémon. In effect, Pokémon in possession of this ability naturally secrete a thick layer of either slime or water over the surface of the skin that readily vaporizes in the air and generates a chemical reaction that can seep through skin and metal alike and effectively make any Pokémon around them fairly damp, hence its name. While this might not seem to have much of an effect on others in most cases, the dampness that comes from this ability upon both the possessor and anything nearby has the potential to make otherwise volatile compounds moist and unable to actually react chemically with the air as normally, which has the potential to alter the way in which their bodies operate when they try to use any sort of attack or ability involving an explosion of some sort. While this dampness can make the whole battlefield a bit harder to traverse, the added moisture has a much more profound effect than that, as the moisture will generally prevent Pokémon from using any sort of attack that involves a direct explosion of some sort, because whatever fuel they need to sustain the explosion will become too damp or corroded to work until it dries again, namely when the possessor leaves the battlefield. This equally has the effect on Pokémon with the Aftermath ability and will prevent its activation in all cases. The Damp ability, though strikingly simple, is a powerful defensive weapon against trainers that don't mind having their Pokémon remove themselves from the battlefield as long as they can take a target down with them, and can effectively shut down any chance of them being able to get away with such strategies without at least a few snags. The Water Absorb ability is a fairly commonplace ability that takes the basic principles of hydration and turns them into an extensive form of self-restoration. Pokémon in possession of this ability have managed to earn such a strong affinity for water that their bodies are completely dependent upon it for survival to an extent, and can thus become extremely receptive towards it in battle. While this does mean that they cannot stay out of the water for long periods of time, often having to use some sort of film or slimy coating to keep themselves moist on land, it also means that they can readily use water to hydrate their forms and help facilitate increased cell growth and repair, thus healing themselves of severe damage when exposed to any noble source of water. In practice, a Pokémon in possession of this ability can readily absorb whatever sort of water-type move is sent their way, and will thus be rendered completely immune to damage from water-type moves. More importantly, when they are hit by a water-type move, regardless of its power, the possessor will not take damage and instead will have 25% of its maximum HP restored as a result of its cells readily absorbing and using the water to fuel cell reproduction and regeneration among the damaged cells in the possessor's body. The Water Absorb ability is the ultimate method of shutting down water-type assaults, and can effectively render Pokémon with little else in the way of power useless in battle while keeping the possessor safe from damage, and capable of restoring much of its health with a simple squirt of water. The Swift Swim ability is the fundamental ability among many water-type Pokémon that enables them to use their natural water-type powers to increase their agility in the right weather conditions. Pokémon in possession of this ability share an extreme affinity for water and are so dependent upon it for survival that their metabolic reactions are partially fueled by it, generally the way of breaking the water down for chemical energy. In most cases, this aids these creatures in no way, but when it is raining, their cells will quickly absorb the water around them and break it down at a molecular level into oxygen and hydrogen to fuel the chemical reactions that keep their metabolism running, in turn making them far more energetic than normal and giving them an energy boost in mobility that can help them to move much faster than normal. As such, while this ability does not do much on its own, if a Pokémon in possession of it is exposed to rain as a weather effect, the boost in their metabolism that it will provide will effectively double their base speed stat as long as it continues to rain. The Swift Swim ability is an important tool for water-type specialists that enjoy using raining conditions to power up their water-type Pokémon, and can easily help an otherwise slower beast make a significant comeback and run circles around the opposition with little difficulty. The Water Veil ability, which is exclusive to water-type Pokémon, is a passive ability that takes advantage of water's natural ability to douse fires to cool and protect damaged remains from further heat exposure. In effect, Pokémon in possession of this ability are able to use their natural water-type powers to coat themselves in a thin shield of water in and out of the water as a protection against heat and dehydration, the veil being kept in place by a thin film of oil that coats the outside of the veil. This liquid coat not only gives Pokémon in possession of this ability a lovely glossy shine out of the water, but it also aids them in helping to heal any sort of injuries they might sustain from extreme heat, allowing them to stay moist outside the water with little issue, and thus can survive on land for longer periods of time than other types of aquatic Pokémon. While this veil of water will do little to protect the possessor against actual damage, if the possessor is in any way targeted by an attack or technique designed to inflict a burn, the veil of water covering their bodies will act as a steam shield that prevents the heat from such a move from reaching below the outermost layer of skin, in turn negating any chance of the possessor retaining a semi-permanent burn, or at the very least soothing the pain from the condition so as not to inflict any damage or have any impact on the possessor's physical strength. The Water Veil ability is the perfect defense against burn-inducing moves, and will completely and utterly stop all attempts an opponent makes at burning a Pokemon, completely destroying the chances of them ever seeing a semi-permanent reduction in physical damage received, and effectively neutralizing the otherwise crippling effects the status condition would bring to a Pokemon's health and physical power in battle. The Rain Dish ability is a relatively rare ability, normally only seen among the members of the Lotad family, though it can be possessed by a few other water-type families and the members of the Morlo family on rare occasions, and enables the possessor to recover lost health as long as it is raining outside. In essence, Pokemon possession of this ability operates similarly to Pokemon possession of the Water Absorb ability, in that they're able to use water from other external sources to heal and cleanse their bodies when exposed to it. However, in the case of these Pokemon, this attribute is slightly altered and has a much weaker restorative effect on their bodies, only really working as intended in the presence of rain. Even so, they are still able to soak up large amounts of moisture from the surrounding air, and use that absorbed water to heal damaged tissue without wasting any stamina to do so, giving the ability a passive leg up on the Water Absorb ability, as it does indeed rely on the offenses of opponents to work as needed. As such, while this ability's effects are usually too slow of a process under normal weather conditions to make it of much use, when it is raining outside, a possessor of this ability will have a substantial amount of water around to absorb as part of their ability, and will at least be able to regenerate about 6.25% of their maximum HP every couple of minutes, or otherwise at the end of every combat turn in battle. The Rain Dish ability is a powerful passive ability that can help keep Pokemon alive longer in the presence of intense rain without having to waste any time or stamina to heal themselves manually, which can more than prove to be a big help in longer battles, even though the amount of energy recovered every few minutes is still somewhat small in the short term. The Hydration ability is generally possessed by Water-type Pokemon, while Pokemon that are otherwise able to keep themselves fairly healthy as long as they can constantly keep their bodies moist out of the water. For the Pokemon that possess this ability, water, when mixed with various organic compounds on the surface of the body, acts as a natural healing tonic that repairs damaged or broken tissue on the surface of their bodies more so than it would for other creatures. While this might not exactly be strong enough to heal them of damage sustained in battle, it does go a long way to help keep the rest of their form in top shape when they're exposed to water. Since not all of these creatures live in the water alone though, the major health benefits of this ability tend to only shine the brightest while it's raining outside. Though getting hit by a water type attack might not exactly be what is needed for this ability to work, as long as it is raining on the battlefield, this ability will be active and can essentially be used to heal negative status conditions that may be plaguing both their outer skin and their internal organs, thanks to the healing tonics naturally produced as a consequence. As such, in these conditions, this ability will heal any non-volatile status conditions the possessor might be afflicted with in battle. The Hydration ability is a great way to keep Pokemon safe from status conditions of all kinds in battle, as long as it is raining, and can easily help shut down the status inflicting tactics of an opponent, especially since it takes little time for the ability to completely activate. The Water Bubble ability serves as a signature ability of the Dewpider family, and it takes advantage of the bubble they use for properly breathing on land to offer protection against heat and an aid to their water-type powers. The bubble itself is generated and maintained by gathering humidity in the air or extracting the needed material from a body of water and forming it around their head, encasing it in a thin film of oil-like substances that maintains a spherical shape to often encapsulate part of it, if not the entire head. The bubble not only acts as a way for them to acquire oxygen in the water and help to protect their bodies against extreme heat and direct damage, but is used by Arachnoid in particular for this and as a way to drown prey items for an easy meal, though some have been known to equally use it to protect and ferry smaller Pokemon around out of an act of kindness. While the bubbles can be burst with sufficient force, the beast is able to regenerate these defensive shields of water with little issue, creating the bubbles through modified mouthparts that can generate the perfect vacuum environment to fill the bubbles with water and hold them together with pressure alone, making it a prime ability for them that serves them well on all possible fronts. Aside from serving several different purposes for survival and hunting in the wild in battle, the water bubble that Dewpider and Arachnoid possess serves them twofold in battle in association with this ability. Defensively, the water acts as an energy barrier that can resist being evaporated and thus serves as a handy barrier between these creatures in extreme heat, reducing the damage dealt to them by fire-type attacks by 50%, while at the same time making them completely immune to being burned. Offensively, it also provides them with an excess store of water and makes it possible for them to utilize a greater volume of the liquid in their attacks, effectively doubling the base power of any non-water type attacks they use prior to stab calculation being applied. While the partial water type nature already grants them resistance against fire type attacks that would otherwise be a serious weakness, this ability helps to make such assaults even more futile and keep these creatures safe from burns, which is useful seeing as the physical offenses are greater than their special ones. The fact that it additionally increases the damage their water type attacks do by a huge amount further makes them a dangerous force in battle, as they can make use of moves like their powerful liquidation attack to decimate even defensively strong Pokemon. The Liquid Voice ability is a hidden ability found only among the members of the Popular family as a result of the special connection they hold between the water-type powers and their singing abilities. Normally these creatures are able to use their voice in order to fight with moves like Disarming Voice and Sing, and as they grow and develop, they come to rely on the singing voice to execute some of the most powerful water-type attacks. While this connection is fairly tight to begin with, in rare cases it is possible that the connection can be so strong that the mere use of a sound-based move can cause them to unintentionally well up and release a torrent of water with each move. It is thought that this may be caused by a short in the temporal lobes and brainstem that causes them to mix attacks and techniques together when using them, though in this case it can honestly prove to be rather beneficial for them in many cases, and thus is not generally considered to be a serious problem in combat. As a consequence of attacks and techniques having their sonic and aquatic attributes mixed together, when a Pokemon in possession of this ability attempts to use a sound-based move in battle, the overwhelming burst of water that accompanies it will alter it and change it so it has the effective properties of a water-type move. As far as technical advantages are concerned, while it might be little more than a strange quirk of an ability in many cases, the Liquid Voice ability can at the very least give the members of the Popular family the ability to ensure they receive an attack bonus when using any sound-based attack due to the changing of its type, and in turn make it possible for them to modify the moves to bring out their best traits in battle. On the other side though, while being able to gain attack bonus with every sound-based move is beneficial to some degree, it can also alter the versatility of available moves these Pokemon have access to, and limit their capacity to use sound-based moves of a type other than the water type to take on opponents that might otherwise have resistance against that type. The Drizzle ability is a powerful ability, generally only associated with Kyogre and Pelipper, though Politoed can possess it in rare cases, that effectively takes even the driest and most inhospitable of places and turns them into a drowned mire capable of supporting little more than aquatic organisms. The true mechanisms behind this ability remain a bit of a mystery, but from what can be told, Pokemon in possession of this ability have the capacity to use an advanced form of psychokinetic or even physical power to suddenly change the movement of air currents, moisture, and temperature around them in such a way as to initiate the immediate precipitation of water in their vicinity, generating massive rainstorms simply by being present in battle and even in the wild. This can make them a bit hard to work with since they tend to bring rain wherever they go, but at the very least it can help power up their water-type attributes and give them an edge there. As such, when a Pokemon in possession of this ability is brought out into battle, their mere presence will be enough to summon a potent rainstorm that will not leave the surrounding area until approximately 5 combat turns later. This ability will stay in effect until something else changes the weather again, or its effects otherwise wear off, but it is otherwise completely stable. The Drizzle ability is not one of the many trainers we ever get to see in action, given that it is usually only seen possessed by a scant few types of Pokemon, but for those lucky enough to use this ability, it is the perfect tool for rain-oriented strategies and can effectively drown the opposition in water before they can even get off the ground in battle. The Primordial Sea ability is the signature ability of Primal Kyogre and fully demonstrates its incredible power and control over the forces of nature. While its normal Drizzle ability is enough to summon rainstorms whenever it enters battle as noted before, Primal Kyogre can instantly create an even harsher weather condition known as Heavy Rain with the Primordial Sea ability. While rain is something that humans can normally handle under most conditions, the rain that is seen in this ability is so immense and intense that it has the potential to drown the entire world if left to rage on for days at a time, and even if only active for a short while, it can completely drench everything to the point of no return. The very power that fuels this weather condition is only ever found in Primal Kyogre as a supposed creator of the oceans, and it is a testament to the incredible raw power that it has at its disposal for all to see. When summoned by this ability, Heavy Rain shows the same basic effects as rain, but it is so intense that it effectively snuffs out any flame that is created by any creature, in turn preventing any and all fire-type moves from working. This might not be of tremendous use by itself given Primal Kyogre's type combination, but it is nonetheless a devastating ability for other Pokemon to deal with if they share a battlefield with this legendary beast, and the fact that the condition cannot be removed by traditional weather-changing techniques can only make it that much more of a serious threat in battle. This ability is not one that many trainers will ever get to see in action, given that it is only possessed by Primal Kyogre, but for those lucky enough to use this ability, it is the perfect tool for rain-oriented strategies and can easily drown the opponent in water before they can even get off the ground in battle, and eliminate any threat that a fire-type opponent might otherwise pose. That's it for this episode, so stay tuned for the next episode of Ability Academy. Thank you all for watching this video. It is a great pleasure to share with you all the fruits of my research and all the positives it gives to understanding the wonderful creatures we call Pokemon and how their powers and behaviors function in their world. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more work like it, please give a like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel so you can get regular notifications on when new content is being uploaded. You can also find links to my DeviantArt page, Patreon, and Discord server in the description below. Please, join me on this road to seeing what the world of Pokemon has to share with us, and the many mysteries and wonders that keep us all coming back for more.